Quantitative easing is coming to Australia. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, I'm Florian Heise and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. Got my morning stein of coffee here today and I thought we would have a look at this article from the ABC. This is written by Nassim Kadem and it's regarding, well, the Governor of the Reserve Bank, Professor Philip Lowe's speech from yesterday. Now, it's interesting because I went through the speech. We'll have a look. I'll share it here. I did a live stream of the speech when we were listening to it. A lot of people were talking in the chat, just suggesting different things. But essentially, Philip Lowe stated that quantitative easing would be considered once Australia hits a cash rate of 0.25%. So it looks like low interest rates are here for a long time. He doesn't predict us heading towards negative rates, but it looks like QE may be the first arrow they pull from the quiver when they want to fight the beast of the bad economy. And as we know from the past, the RBA are meticulously accurate in all of their predictions and forecasts. Yes, well, let's have a look through this article, guys. Interest rates to stay low, but unlikely to go negative, says RBA boss Philip Lowe. Australia is unlikely to hit a situation where negative or below zero interest rates charged by banks can damage confidence and economic activity, according to Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe. In a speech to the Australian Business Economist Dinner in Sydney on Tuesday night, Dr. Lowe addressed the possibility that interest rates could go below zero in Australia, but said it was more likely that interest rates would stay low for an extended period. So there you go. I mean, we're going to have the danger with all of this, I think, is that our wealth is stored in the housing sector, guys. A significant portion of Australia's wealth is stored in the housing sector. 57% in housing. So if this starts bubbling up that sector, what do you think will happen? We'll get the continued housing bubble and affordability issues. And I really think, the more I think about it, this is just going to drive people out of investing in other sectors. Why risk employing people? Why risk, having a business? Why risk going into manufacturing when you get the patent, sell to an offshore company, and stick the money in housing and it just doubles every couple of years? Why not? I mean, you can't blame anyone. So, Dr. Lowe also spoke about the possibility of the central bank using so-called unconventional monetary policy to stimulate the economy. It seems like it's very conventional these days, isn't it? Lots of talk. But he said there was currently no sign of dysfunction in Australia's capital markets that would warrant a significant intervention by a public sector entity into private markets. Given major reductions in interest rates over the past 6 months, the Reserve Bank has opted to, for now, hold the cash rate steady. Well, yes, the cash rate has just plunged, guys. Dr. Lowe did not rule out further rate cuts, but said the economy was benefiting from the already low level of interest rates, recent tax cuts, ongoing spending on infrastructure, the upswing in housing prices in some markets, and a brighter outlook for the resource sector. Well, yesterday we spoke about a copper mine that was suspended in Western Australia. Iron ore prices are heading down as well. So where's this brighter outlook he's seeing? Maybe he's looking at different things. The problem is, guys, we are very dependent. Our economy is very dependent, and I will bring up one of my favorite websites. If you are one of the viewers that has never visited the Observatory of Economic Complexity, I encourage you to have a look, just to realize how much of our exports are dependent on natural resources. It's a fair bit, guys. But the housing price upswing, that's something I would challenge, and a lot of people would. Because it's based on the, CoreLogic data versus the REA data, and I'm working on a video looking at just how the auction clearance rates are trending, or are much higher than what's actually being published. What's published is much higher than what actually they are. The board is also committed to maintaining interest rates at low levels until it is confident that inflation is sustainable within the 2 to 3% target range. People are asking yesterday in the chat, why are we having inflation? Well, they want to nudge you. They want to stimulate you to spend, guys. He said the forecast remains for Australia's economic growth to pick up to reach about 3% in 2021. This pickup in growth should see a reduction in the unemployment rate and a lift in inflation, Dr. Lowe said. So we're expecting things to move in the right direction, although only gradually. Now I'm just going to bring up this chart here to show you from 2011 all of their predictions about wage increases. Every single forecast is wrong. So based on this example that I'm showing you right here, how can we trust any of their other forecasts? Should we go completely contrarian and go, well, okay, if they're predicting a 3% growth rate in this year, is it going to, maybe we need to assume that the opposite is going to happen? This pickup in growth, okay, I've read that. Some economists are forecasting another cut to the cash rate early next year, most likely in February. I think that's going to depend on employment figures over Christmas and just what happens in retail. We also have the construction data coming out today, and that will be very interesting to see as well. So negative interest rates not likely in Australia. Dr. Lowe repeated his view that negative interest rates in Australia are extraordinarily unlikely. Well, I'm sure a lot of people thought negative interest rates were extraordinarily unlikely anywhere in the world a decade ago, but things change, don't they? Negative rates or zero rates have been a feature in European countries including Denmark, Sweden and Switzerland, and also in Japan. See, this is the thing I'm worried about. We're just going to end up like Japan. We're going to end up like Japan with a stalling economy. We are not in the same situation that has been faced in Europe and Japan. Our growth prospects are stronger. Our banking system is in much better shape. Our demographic profile is better, and we have not had a period of deflation. The RBA decided to keep rates on hold in November to allow time to assess the effects of its previous rate cuts. The central bank announced 3 successive rate cuts in June, July and October to bring the current cash rate to a record low of 0.75%. What are we doing? I'm jumping to my references here. So yes, Dr. Lowe had in August told Parliament that all options are on the table to stimulate Australia's economy, potentially even cutting interest rates to zero or negative levels and implementing unconventional policies such as quantitative easing. But since then, he has qualified that by saying it is an unlikely scenario, and last month called on businesses to stop waiting for negative interest rates and start investing. But here's the thing, why are you going to invest in a business when you can get a better return in property? Can someone let me know? And anyone who has been in business knows just the risk and struggle. We had someone in the comments yesterday just sharing how long he'd had to wait 150 days from a big brand. Small business is a nightmare in this country. It is a nightmare, guys. So, no appetite to purchase private sector assets. Dr. Lowe also addressed the ability for the central bank to use so-called unconventional monetary policies. One option is for the Reserve Bank to begin large-scale money printing, leading to billions being pumped into the economy. Another is asset purchases by the central bank. Such scenarios would have the effect of further lowering interest rates, a move which is viewed as a last resort policy, but that some experts have suggested should be considered. We have no appetite to undertake outright purchases of private sector assets as part of a QE easing program, he said. Another bigger step to engage in monetary financed asset purchases by the central bank than it is to cut interest rates. So it is a big step. The only scenario, and here we go, this is the takeaway line, guys. The only scenario in which quantitative easing would become an option was if Australia's cash rate hit 0.25%. At a cash rate of 0.25%, the interest rate paid on surplus balances at the Reserve Bank would already be at zero given the corridor system we operate, Dr. Lowe said. So from that perspective, we would, at that point, be dealing with zero interest rates. But such a scenario was not on the Reserve Bank's radar. Well, their radar ain't that good, is it? Does anyone trust their radar, guys? Or do you want to be using them to, to detect incoming fire? I don't know. And added that if the central bank was to undertake a program of quantitative easing, it would do so through purchasing government bonds, because let's just copy what every other country's done, because it's worked there, hasn't it? The Reserve Bank and APRA have already had to put in place special liquidity arrangements for the banking system, he said. We're also conscious that the Australian government's fiscal position means that the gross stock of government debt is projected to decline relative to the size of the economy over the years ahead, he said. But, see, this is the thing. You're predicting growth of the economy. You're not getting a good track record with other predictions. Every single time they're surprised. Maybe the fundamental assumptions in your economic theory need to be changed. What do I know? You know, surely if it's failed so many times again, it'll work this time. It has to. The risk of blurring central bank's responsibility. Dr. Lowe also notes the risk of blurring the lines between monetary and fiscal policy. If the central bank is buying large amounts of government debt at zero interest rates, this could be seen as money-financed government spending. In some circumstances, this could damage the credibility of a country's institutional arrangements and create political tensions. Political tensions can also arise if the central bank's asset purchases are seen to disproportionately benefit banks and wealthy people at the expense of the person in the street. Well, isn't that the entire danger with QE? Isn't that evident that it's happening? For the time being, there was no need for the Reserve Bank to do anything unconventional. Conventional monetary policy is still working in Australia, and we see evidence of this in the exchange rate, in asset prices, and in the boost to aggregate household disposable income, he said. But he warned that if markets were to become dysfunctional, you can be reassured by the fact that we have both the capacity and the willingness to respond. So zero rates can damage confidence. Dr. Lowe also noted that it was not clear that the international experience with negative interest rates had been a success. I thought it had been a failure. Prior to the GFC, it was widely thought that zero was the lower bounds for the policy interest rates. But zero has not turned out to be the constraint that it once was thought to be. While negative rates have put downward pressure on exchange rates and long-term bond yields, he said they could also have a detrimental impacts. There is evidence that negative interest rates can encourage households to save more and spend less, especially when people are concerned about the possibility of lower income in retirement, Dr. Lowe said. Yeah, it's funny that isn't this obvious? If you're heading to this artificial negative rates, you've got a whole generation that have never encountered it. It's going to be psychologically concerning to them all, so they're going to prep. They're going to turn into preppers. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. A move to negative interest rates can also damage confidence in the general economic outlook and make people more cautious. Well, yes, I think the rapid cuts to our own cash rate have done the same thing. And we can see here the latest, consumer sentiment index slightly jumped up, but still below 100. So how's it been doing, guys? It's been trending down since those cuts. For now, most banks overseas with negative interest rates have set a floor of zero on retail deposit rates. These banks have judged that if that doesn't make sense, either commercially or politically, to charge households and small businesses negative interest rates on their deposits, he said. Well, there you go. So, guys, this is the RBA's a summary, well-written article about the governor's speech last night with The Economist at a $2,500 table dinner. I find the food's never worth it when you go to one of those things. $200, $250 for a meal. Yeah, let me know what you think, guys. So, what do you reckon? Do you think we will hit QE? Or do you trust the predictions of the RBA? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the channel. If you like my content, I have a Patreon where you can make a small donation every month. It really helps. Also have Amazon and eBay affiliate links where you can support a creator at no cost to you. We get a little bonus or kickback every time you make a purchase. We have got merch on Heise Says, and we also have PayPal and Ethereum. Take care, guys. Have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye for now.